Welcome to Wows and Wire today. We're talking about Nga Kor Ming's recent confrontation with the media and the essential conversation about respecting press freedom in this country. Okay, so we really need to jump right into the drama. The whole thing that unfolded at that Lite U program pre-launch, that was October 30th in Kuala Lumpur.
Mm.
And for anyone who follows Malaysian politics, it was, well, kind of shocking how fast it escalated. A seemingly simple question.
Spirals.
Yeah, spirals into this big political incident, threats, editorial control mention. It was clear pretty quickly this wasn't just about a name.
No, it really wasn't. And what makes it so critical, I think, is that it exposed this underlying tension,
Tension how?
Well, it's this fundamental clash, isn't it, between a journalist just doing their job, asking maybe tough, uncomfortable questions sometimes,
Right.
and a minister's reaction, maybe under pressure.
Yeah.
And when their first reaction looks like, well, intimidation, that's where the real story starts. Because you start worrying about that chilling effect we always talk about.
Okay, let's unpack the actual flashpoint then, because the details here are really important.
Absolutely.
So it all started with a journalist from Utusan Malaysia. Now, we could probably pause there for a second.
Right, the publication itself has context.
Exactly. Utusan Malaysia, long history, often seen as, promoting Malay language, cultural interest. So the question itself wasn't just random.
No, it was pointed.
Very pointed. Why is this Lite U program name completely in English for a national initiative?
And that taps right into that whole ongoing debate, doesn't it? National identity, language policy versus, reaching out globally.
Precisely. But the reaction, wow, it was immediate.
Instantaneous.
Nga Kor Ming asks straight away, which media are you from? Gets the answer, Utusan Malaysia, and then drops this line.
The line that everyone picked up on.
Yeah. I will call your editor-in-chief. This concerns national interest. Now, that's not just asking for a phone number, is it? That sounds like I'm using my power here.
It implies intervention directly into the newsroom, just because a question was asked that maybe he didn't like.
An inconvenient question, yeah.
And that phrase, I will call your editor-in-chief, it just screams censorship, or at least the threat of it.
Definitely.
It suggests the question itself was wrong, something needing, professional punishment.
But hang on, what was his reason at the time for the English name? Because there was one, right?
There was, yeah, and it often gets a bit lost in the noise about the reaction. He did give a rationale pretty quickly.
Which was?
That the Lite U initiative is specifically designed, strategically, to welcome visit Malaysia year 2026.
The tourism angle.
Yeah, exactly. The argument was basically using an English title makes foreign tourists feel more comfortable, more welcome. So linking the language choice directly to getting tourists here, spending their ringgit, national tourism goals.
Okay, so that's a defense. A pragmatic one, maybe? Connecting English to international tourism.
But does it justify the reaction?
That's the question, isn't it? If the goal is attracting tourist money, why react so, aggressively to a question about language preference? The damage seemed instant.
Oh, it was, definitely. And that move, that threat to call the editor, it just sparked this huge waves of criticism.
Not just from the media, right?
No, far beyond. Media associations, absolutely, they were furious. But also a lot of political figures weighed in pretty quickly.
Saying what?
Basically viewing it as undermining that whole promise of media freedom, going against the grain.
And this is where the current government context comes in, isn't it?
It does.
Because critics, figures like Akmal, they jumped on it immediately, said it was a clear violation of the commitments the Unity Government Administration has talked so much about.
Right. The whole platform of transparency, open dialogue.
Yeah. So when you promise that, and then an action like this happens taking a press question straight to the top editor, it looks like a serious step backwards.
It raises questions about credibility, doesn't it? The issue stops being about the program name and becomes about whether the government really means what it says about the Fourth Estate.
The chilling effect you mentioned earlier, that must have been the big fear.
That's the core fear, yes. That this very public flexing of ministerial muscle, well, it might make other journalists, especially maybe younger ones, reporters just starting out,
Think twice.
think twice, maybe 3 times, before they ask the next awkward question, whether it's about budgets, how policies are actually working, or, even the language choice for some big multi-million ringgit project.
And that potential self-censorship, that's way more dangerous in the long run than arguing about an English program name.
Absolutely.
So here's a question maybe for you listening. When something like this happens, a simple question about a name blows up so fast into threats. Do you feel it actually helps or harms public understanding? Understanding what our national priorities really are. Because it feels like the focus just shifted completely from let's promote tourism to, uh-oh, we need to manage this PR crisis. And that harm feels pretty real.
Well, the pressure certainly built up very fast. That intense scrutiny, the public outcry from different sides, media, political opposition, it definitely forced a rethink.
A strategic retreat, maybe?
You could call it that. We saw the shift towards reconciliation happen quite quickly, actually.
How quickly?
And Nga Kor Ming put out that statement on social media. It was November 2nd, so just 2 days after the initial incident.
2 days. That's fast in political terms.
It is. And in the statement, he specifically acknowledged the feedback, the criticism he'd received from, various people.
The speed of an apology often tells you a lot, doesn't it? Just 48 hours to publicly walk back from a confrontation, it suggests they knew it was serious.
It shows a high sensitivity to public opinion, definitely, and political calculation, of course.
What was the tone like? Was it a real apology or more of a justification?
No, what's interesting is the shift. He didn't really double down or make excuses. He used phrases like, perhaps in the process there were indeed some oversights or misunderstandings.
Okay. Acknowledging something went wrong.
Yes, and crucially, he said he accepted the criticism with an open heart. Now, that's quite personal language. It's not just an institutional statement. It suggests accepting some level of personal fault.
Which is pretty key for damage control to actually work.
Exactly. And beyond the apology itself, he was very clear about restating his position on the media.
How so?
He made a point of reiterating his, quote, deep respect for media freedom. And he specifically called the media a vital pillar. His words, supporting the government's work, getting information out there about initiatives.
So reinforcing the official line, kind of separating his personal, maybe misstep from the administration's overall policy.
That seems to be the strategy, yes. Reaffirming the government's stance while acknowledging the personal error.
Okay, so he offered the right political words to try and smooth things over, but did he offer anything concrete? Because just saying sorry doesn't always fix the potential chilling effect, right?
Good point. And yes, he did. He outlined a specific next step he planned to take.
Which was?
He stated he was willing to personally meet with the people involved from Utusan Malaysia soon.
A face-to-face meeting.
Yes. And the stated aim was to resolve the issue in a proper and amicable manner. He tied it back to building a diverse, inclusive, progressive society.
So elevating it beyond just a misunderstanding, making it an act of official reconciliation.
Precisely. And that promise of a personal meeting, it sets a kind of precedent, doesn't it, for how these conflicts between, say, the executive branch and the press might be handled.
Right. So if we try and pull this all together, what's the main takeaway here? For me, it really highlights that necessary tension. It's always there between ministers and journalists, right? But this shows how quickly it can break down if power feels like it's being maybe overplayed. But maybe more importantly, it also shows how crucial that quick, open communication is when things do go wrong. The apology, the willingness to meet.
And if you look at the bigger picture, that swift move from what was widely seen as a threat to a public apology, and then the offer to meet it does set an important precedent.
How so?
Well, it sends a signal, doesn't it, to other government officials maybe, about just how sensitive this issue of media scrutiny really is, and that today's political world kind of demands accountability quickly, not evasion.
Yeah, this wasn't just some isolated flare-up. It felt like a real political signal being sent, maybe in both directions.
Absolutely. The whole conversation about where the lines are for press freedom and what responsibilities come with being in power, it's always vital. And this definitely put it right back in the spotlight.
For sure. A really intense couple of days in KL politics.
Indeed. And maybe a final thought for you to chew on, reflecting on all this. The whole thing started over language, right? English versus Malay in a program name. But the real drama, the real story, became about the crisis management, the speed of it. Now imagine if the minister had taken, say, 48 days instead of 48 hours to issue that apology. Would the political fallout have been worse? Could it have seriously damaged his position or even dented the administration's image on transparency?
Interesting question. The timing makes all the difference.
Sometimes the timing of the response tells you more about the power dynamics at play than the actual words used in the apology itself. Something to think about.
Definitely something to think about. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.